My mom's rude customer turned out to be my girlfriend. Ooh, Nelly.
This is gonna be fun.
I'm 21 female and a lesbian. My girlfriend is 36 and bisexual. My mom had me young at 16, so she's 37 and works as a waitress at a high-end steakhouse. Okay, so your girlfriend is literally the same age as your mom. Okay. I just moved in with my girlfriend 2 weeks ago after dating for 2 months. Okay, that's pretty quick.
Wow, that was fast.
Moving in with her is a culture shock because she made close to 7 figures last year, and I'm a struggling actress and college student. So my mom is serving the lunch crowd and goes to greet a woman. The woman did not acknowledge my mom's greeting and interrupted her when she's rattling off the specials. When her soup comes, she tells my mom her wallet costs more than what she made in a month. So be careful. Yeah, I don't love that. She snapped her fingers to get my mom's attention, but when she came without her beckoning, she rolled her eyes and said, "Will you leave me alone? Only come to me when I snap for you, dummy."
Yeah.
At the end, when my mom asked if she could take her plate, she sarcastically asked if she had any other bright ideas. My goodness, who peed in her cereal this morning? I don't think that this is the case of just her having a bad day. I have such little respect for people who treat customer service workers, people in the service industry like this. Like, if there's one thing that shows how little class you have, it's this. It doesn't matter how much money you make. This is insane. Like, this is literally insane. In the end, my mom went to take her Amex and saw the name on it and put 2 and 2 together. She got a very poor tip at the end of it. Ugh.
Disgusting.
To add insult to injury. She said she's given me the information and that what I do with it is up to me. I'm in denial that my girlfriend would be like this. She's always been sarcastic, but in a very attractive way. You've only been dating like 2 months. Like, have you gone out to dinner with her? Like, in fact, the only problems we've had is that she sometimes comes off as flirtatious to others. And I get jealous sometimes because I can see she has a lot of options. When we've gone out, she's been nice to the waiters. In front of you, maybe. But my mom and I have a very close relationship and are very honest with each other. And I see that the thought of anyone being rude to her. When I asked what the woman was wearing, my mom told me exactly what she put on this morning. Doesn't look good, man. Does not look good.
No, don't like that.
So when my girlfriend got home, I asked if she did anything interesting today. She said not much. I asked if she was in a bad mood, and she asked why I would ask her that. Now she's getting suspicious because I turned down spicy time.
Yeah, boy.
And when I tried to talk to her again, she said she was busy. What do I do to confront this issue? What can I do if she was just having a really bad day and this was out of character? I love her a lot and she's been extremely generous to me, so I don't know what to do. Okay. Out of character is like, let's say you have like a very short interaction with someone and, you know, you come off as a little bit curt or something like that. That's having a bad day, okay? But she literally sat there throughout an entire lunch and was extremely rude to your mother, a server, several times with literally no reason why. The minute that she walked into that restaurant, she was acting awful. This is not the case of someone who is having a bad day. This is someone who does not respect people in the service industry and thinks she's better than other people. And oddly enough, this is exactly the type of person that needs to work in the service industry. Everyone should work in the service industry at some point. Customer service, be a server, work in retail. It not only humbles you, but also helps you talk to people. You also gain a lot of respect for people in those industries, in those positions, because it's like they gotta deal with people like this all day long. The woman might have money, but she has zero class. This is not the case of someone that's having a bad day. This is the case of someone who has let money go to her head. Okay, update number 1. There was a lot of tension between me and my girlfriend after I, 21 female, turned down the spicy time the day before yesterday. I was clearly upset about what my mom told me, but didn't know how to confront her. She ended up disappearing into her study. After the house manager finished cooking and left. Oh yeah, so she rich.
I don't need anybody's money. I'm really rich.
She came out in going out clothes and didn't say anything to me. I asked where she was going and she said nowhere, just meeting up with some friends. I text her a few hours later to ask if she was coming home to eat or if she needed a driver. She doesn't text back for a while until she sends me a picture of a hotel drinks tab that was in the thousands, saying she was paying for everybody. You took a picture of the bill? Yuck. Then she stops replying to my texts. I don't know who booked the room or who she was with. I didn't want to say that she cheating, but I hear her stumble in at 3:30 a.m. and she reeks of booze and other random smells. She wakes up at 2 p.m. and goes to her study. I go to her study and she doesn't acknowledge me for a good minute. Okay, sounds like you're getting finally a taste of like what she's really like. She finally says, last time I checked, you were 21, not 12. Adults speak when they have something on their minds, and tells me to out with it. So I confront her about being rude to her waitress, my mom. She says I've been sulky all week, and she's been walking on eggshells since last Monday, even though I thought we were perfectly happy then. So doesn't take responsibility for what happened and then puts the blame on you.
Correct!
She acknowledged she was at the restaurant but said none of what I accused her of even happened. She said she was served by multiple people and said at fancy restaurants, waitresses should know to only approach when the customer beckons, and she lightly recalls one of them breaking such protocol. Actually, that's not true. In fine dining, it's part of the experience to be approached by a server who waits for you to have a bite. You try the bite. They ask if everything sounds good because you've taken a bite. They'll leave you alone for a bit. They'll come back and then they'll ask you if you want anything else for dessert. You can politely wave them over, maybe go talk to them if you are like in a rush or something like that, but you do not snap and beckon a server. This is so diluted because it's like this person does not understand fine dining at all. And yet she's making herself seem like she knows better. When I asked who she was with last night, she says she's getting bad vibes from the conversation and tells me to leave if I'm going to be a baby. Okay, so again, she's gaslighting you and also kind of making your age a thing here too, which it wouldn't surprise me if that's why she's with OP in the first place, quite frankly. I'm pretty close to crying and she says she's been thinking and this relationship is giving her bad vibes. And maybe I wasn't ready for an adult relationship. And she clearly misjudged my maturity. This is just more of the same. Like it's more gaslighting. It's more victim blaming. It's a whole lot of, I'm not gonna take responsibility for how I treated someone. I start crying, saying she's the most successful person I've ever met. And I think she's too good to be true. And a long thing about how I felt she's too good to me, which scares me now because everything I said was completely from the heart. She then says that when she met me, it's like the stars aligned. She asks if the life advice she gave me was not helping, if this relationship already was not changing my entire life forever. She reminded me that I was living with 4 roommates and now I live like the 1%, and she's helping put me through school. She said she even introduced me to her well-connected friends, and when she told them how I was acting, they were sorry for her. But she told them that bad moments happen to the best of us. So I would actually argue that she's excusing her own behavior in that sentence. She's holding all these things that she's doing over OP's head. Because like, yes, on the one hand, she's doing all these nice things, but on the other hand, she blatantly disrespected not only someone in the service industry, but also OP's mom. I don't like the manipulation that's going on here. I asked her if she would consider meeting my mom to talk things out, and she said she didn't want to meet my mom right now. She wants to help improve my life. This morning, she told me to pick out a dream tote I could use for next semester and joked I was becoming spoiled. I called my mom and she said I needed to stick to the things I know to be true, that she's never lied to me before. But what terrifies me is how unprepared I was for her reaction or how scared I was when she asked me to leave. I don't know what to do. I feel ashamed that I set out to get answers and I screwed up. And now I feel ungrateful and like I'm self-destructing my life. She still works extensively with her ex-husband of 11 years and I feel like I'll never measure up to him. I honestly think the power balance in this relationship is no bueno. It's not a coincidence that the one time that she, the girlfriend in this scenario, is asked to take some responsibility, that now she kind of holds everything that she's done for OP over her head.
Look, I am a good person. Look at everything I've done for you. Don't you appreciate me?
You can do nice things for people, but behavior that isn't right should be called out, and you can still love someone and not respect how they went about things, but taking responsibility is super important. And the girlfriend in this story is not doing that. Let's read some comments. You are in a toxic relationship and need to get out of it like right now. She accused you of being immature by not saying what was bothering you, but then her idea of a mature response was to go out, blow thousands of dollars on booze and party it up. 99% chance she cheated too. I agree. I definitely think she cheated. When you do tell her what's been bothering you, she denies it because of course she would. She has you so under her thumb, she knew you wouldn't question her. Then she shuts down your very reasonable questions about who she's been partying with by slyly insinuating she would dump you if she kept questioning her. After that, she reminded you that you only have what you do because of her, implying she could take it away in a heartbeat. And then she bribed you like a child or a pet. She's like skeevy Hollywood villain level of toxic. She sees you as a possession that she owns, not a person. That is scary and never ends well. Also, don't forget that she got mad at OP when she said no to giggity time. That on its own is a red flag. Yes. Tons of red flags in this. Tons and tons and tons. And also, if she wasn't terrible to your mom, then why is it that she doesn't want to meet your mom? You guys live together. I bet she doesn't want to meet your mom because I think that your mom was telling the truth. And she can't bear to look at your mom in the face. She's making OP depend on her so that when the time comes, she will choose her over her mom. So we have a side update to decide. So like not an update, but also important context. Am I the a-hole for voicing my discomfort about my girlfriend's ex-husband staying over? My girlfriend, 36 female, and her ex-husband, 43 male, started a company together 11 years ago. After they divorced, they agreed to continue to run the company together. So I, 21 female, get that they would see each other during work hours. However, yesterday, her ex came over after dinner and my girlfriend said they were going to work on a project. They are in her office when I doze off. I wake up in the morning, assuming he went home since it was only a 5-mile drive from the house and we were vacationing in East Hampton to Bridgehampton where his house was, and it wasn't that late. Yet when I walk into the kitchen, I see him casually pouring himself a cup of coffee and asking me if I liked hash browns. I don't know if I'm just not a morning person, but this was pretty triggering because he had owned this house before their divorce and he was clearly more at home in it than me. How much do you want to bet that OP's girlfriend essentially just feels like OP is so young and she can just do whatever the f she wants? My girlfriend walks in and they start talking. And they were ignoring my attempts to join the conversation. It was not about work, just small talk, until I was practically pulling on my girlfriend's sleeve to get her attention. I asked her why he stayed over and why he could not have gone home. She gets offended, saying I'm being rude and insecure and that she was just being a hospitable business partner. With her ex? Her ex-husband starts petting the dog and says that it's all his fault and he just missed the dog, but sits down and makes no motion to leave. Where did he sleep? Did they sleep? I immediately feel bad because I didn't want to keep him from his dog. My girlfriend says, when you do business together, you're not supposed to be mean to your business partner. Sounds like something someone would say to like a 2-year-old. Then she says she has a problem with my mom and is well within her rights to complain to the owner about my mom breaching her privacy, but she didn't. When my mom told me she mistreated her when she was a waitress. Okay, so first it was she didn't do all the things that your mom said. Now she's gonna go tell the owner because she invaded her privacy. So which is it? Liar! Am I the a-hole for complaining about him staying over? I have nobody to bounce measures of sanity off right now. No, you are in a very toxic relationship and this woman is taking advantage of the fact that you are very young. Not the a-hole. I can't think of any situation where staying the night and making breakfast is hospitable business partner behavior. This is why it's like, if you were an adult, like, what reasonable person would be fine with their significant other spending the night with their ex at their house?
Well, I don't know.
It might be casual and not spicy, but it's definitely not normal. Other than that, I would say if you're not comfortable with it, one of you will need to change. It's not an unacceptable thing to do if all parties are in communication and agreement. I mean, we're definitely not in agreement though, because like OP is not comfortable with her girlfriend's ex staying at their house overnight. But the fact that she's insisting this is common business practice is kind of a red flag for either her view of reality or her view of your intelligence. Not just intelligence, naivety. OP's only 21. She doesn't have a lot of experience with people like this that are like super successful and shit like that. But the girlfriend is definitely taking advantage of the fact that OP just doesn't know. I don't think that she's stupid. She obviously like can tell that this is weird. Ask yourself if there's been any gaslighting going on because this seems like the start of denying reality. Yes. The reality is she had her ex sleep over in the house that you live in with her. That is not okay. Stop posting about your issues with this woman. She sounds 100% awful and you're the a-hole to yourself for staying with her. She gaslights you. She treats service workers like crap. She bribes you with gifts to get you to shut up about any of the major deal breaker problems going on here. We get it. She's famous and rich and so great, but honestly, girl, she's not great. And obviously getting advice from the internet last time did nothing to validate your feelings of being gaslighted, which they really should have. Get help from a therapist and get some space from this woman. I wish you the absolute best with a large dose of clarity and strength for making the changes you should. Yes, lots of gaslighting, lots of manipulating. She literally was rude to OP's mom. The fact that that doesn't make you go like full beast mode, that is concerning. Say what you want about me, but my mom, hell no, that woman is a saint. So we have one final update. Am I the a-hole for refusing to choose between my girlfriend and my mom? My mom served my girlfriend at the steakhouse she worked. She said my girlfriend, who didn't know she was my mom at the time, was outlandishly rude, and that she knew it was my girlfriend after she saw my name on her card. So after that, I confronted my girlfriend. We had a days-long fight, our first fight ever, over this before things went back to normal. However, yesterday, my mom calls and tells me she's been placed on leave from work because my girlfriend contacted the owner and said she exposed her information to a third party and she felt her privacy had been violated. Dude, your girlfriend got your mom fired. Like on leave, but like still fired. This wasn't a case of, oh, she just had a bad day. Like she's continuously disrespecting your mom. What the f? The restaurant owner happens to know my girlfriend in passing, very distant acquaintance. Yeah, and like honestly, really awful restaurant owner to not like stick up for their employees, because this is nuts. My mom says my girlfriend exaggerated her tale to the owner, saying she rattled off numbers of her Amex card to me and also exaggerated the stuff my mom accused her of. My mom said that since it's a she said situation, she needed me to tell the owner. She only described her general behavior and a few true comments that stuck out. Okay. Your mom needs your help to stick up for her. I love my mom, but my life with my girlfriend is so intertwined at this point. We're vacationing in the Hamptons, but I moved in with her back in Los Angeles where I'm going to college. She's helped me book acting jobs and I only secured a future internship through her. Oh, please. Lord have mercy. My girlfriend literally got on her knees, cried, and said she worked so hard for everything she had in her life and what my mom said about her could have destroyed her and that she didn't want to lose me. Okay, so playing the victim again. Why would your mom even like bring it up if it wasn't true? When my mom called again, I expressed how angry I was that she was giving me this ultimatum and that I wasn't getting involved. Hell no. OP, prayers for you. You are choosing between your girlfriend and your mom. She gets tearful and accuses me of resenting her for not giving me a privileged life. My grandma calls me angrily and says I was being a bad daughter who they didn't raise to become this. She refuses to listen to the fact that I'd be alone and possibly homeless if I choose sides. Am I the a-hole? I feel like I should have the right to choose to not get involved in situations that are between my mom and my girlfriend. Am I the a-hole for refusing to burn bridges when I don't have to? This post was made over 2 years ago. OP has not posted since. In this case, you are absolutely choosing your girlfriend over your mom. Your abusive girlfriend, I might add. Sorry, had to drop the A word, but that's what she is. Let's all understand collectively that in relationships like this, especially relationships where the power dynamic is so off, it is hard to leave. Genuinely. And there is a lesson here, and it's that it doesn't matter how many times this person posts to Reddit, how many feelings she has about, you know, the gaslighting, the manipulating, the bribery, all those things, all those feelings she's ignoring, probably because she wants the life. She wants that life. She wants to have a privileged life. It's not wrong to want a privileged life, but it is wrong to choose a privileged life over your own mother. Yeah, and it's also OP's girlfriend isolating her from her family, which is also a telltale sign of an abusive relationship. Separate her from family, check. Make her financially dependent on you, check. Make it seem like they can't do anything without your help, check. Convince them they are not enough on their own and your largesse is the only route to happiness, check. Don't forget the first 3 steps, gaslight, gaslight, gaslight. Remind them how much worse they'll be without you, check. It goes on and on. Yeah, it's sad to see, but OP just has to figure it out on her own, honestly. So are you the a-hole for refusing to choose between my mom and my girlfriend? You are. I'm sorry, but it kind of sounds like seems to be what you want. Am I the a-hole for asking a customer's kid not to touch something? I, 24 male, was at a popular fast food restaurant. I've been working here since this location opened, and I love working here. I love my coworkers, my boss is great, and I've never had any problems with customers until today. We have a self-serve drink machine near the front of the store. Today, a family of 3 came in. A mom, dad, and their daughter who looked about 4 or 5. I was the cashier for the day, and the dad came to take their order, while mom went to sit down at the benches we have at the door to scroll on her phone. Their daughter, however, beelined to the drink station. Noticing the daughter about to stick her hands inside the spigot for the iced tea, which is separate from the soda machine, I calmly say, and I didn't raise my voice at all, they and another family were in the store. "Excuse me, little one, could you please not touch that?" Mom looked up from her phone, immediately got defensive, and yelled at me, "Don't yell at my child. I'm right here. You could have just gotten my attention." I mean, you were a little busy on your phone. Yell at her child. No yelling. There was no yelling. He was doing the parenting that you should have done. Now, I get it, stranger danger and all that. Don't want strangers talking to your child. However, I needed to stop her before she actually touched it. It's a health hazard. People get drinks out of that. And I don't know where your daughter's hands have been. Honestly, nasty places. At 4 or 5, do you know what's going on in those daycares? There's a reason why parents of like toddlers are almost always sick. Because they'd be wiping their boogers and just putting the poop and the pee and the dirt. Toddlers are breeding grounds for infestations, okay? Like literally. They nasty. Your entire family just came from outside. She could have had peanut butter residue or something on her hands, and the next person to drink out of it would have went into anaphylactic shock. And I didn't raise my voice. I used a gentle voice just to get her attention and not contaminate the spigot. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. No, what is really going on here is the woman in this story, the mother, is pissed off that OP is doing the parenting that she should have been. I apologize to the mom and explain the above, minus the outside part. She isn't, however, having it and yells at me again that she's right there and do not speak to her child. Dad is right there at the register, just waiting for this to finish so I can take his order. So I apologize to her again and turn to her husband to take his order. As I turn to her husband, she's back on her phone, now with her daughter sitting next to her, hand around the shoulder. Okay, so she knew that she should have been paying attention to her daughter, essentially. Am I the a-hole? Should I have done things differently? I've already told my boss, and after they left, I still disinfected and sanitized the spigot, even though I stopped her before she touched it. I felt like if I did it while she was still there, she would have had another meltdown. No, this was far more about her than it was about you. Stranger danger, yes. But it's not like you're inviting the kid into like a van. You just told her not to touch something. Not the a-hole. I would have told her she needs to watch her child. I spent 5 years at Burger King and a year at Taco Bell. Customers are a huge pain in the butt. And at some point, I got sick of their BS. Like the people coming in, asking for water glasses, and then stealing soda. I once kicked a family out because their kid wasn't wearing shoes. Oh, geez. I fail to understand why the mom got so mad. Like, you're doing her a solid by parenting her child for her. You're doing it in a nice way. She just knows she shouldn't be on her phone. She knows she should be watching the kid. Not the a-hole. If the mom didn't want her daughter to be yelled at, she should have been watching her and telling her to come back to the table. Not the a-hole. Some people choose not to watch their children and then get upset when someone says something to their child. Unfortunately, she will not be the last parent you will have to speak to about their child. You did it right, and you will have to do it again. This is the thing. You did everything right, but it also means that you're still gonna have to deal with people that are uncomfortable about it for one reason or another. So be prepared that it's a sore subject, and I think people will take it personally. Update. Thanks for your feedback. While it may seem obvious I wasn't in the wrong, I was doubting myself since this was the first time I witnessed someone got so defensive over their child doing something wrong. Just the other day, we had a kid climb up on the table after not listening to his mom, but when I gently told him to get down and did, mom thanked me. This is what I'm saying. So the other lady's response kind of surprised me. Exactly. You're doing this mom a solid. You're doing all moms a solid by helping them parent their kids. So today is my day off, and I just got off the phone with my boss. I'm not in trouble, and she reassured me about that. She called me to tell me the mom came back and tried to complain. This is secondhand from her, so some of it might not be accurate. According to her, lady came alone and tried to file a complaint that I screamed at her child and frightened her. I'm so glad the restaurant has cameras with audio. So my boss played back the incident for mom to watch. Boss said she had to max out the volume because she could almost not hear me over the generic music we have playing in the store. After the video played, boss says to lady, "So you want me to punish my coworker for stopping your kid from messing up all the iced tea? Because if he hadn't, and she successfully did so, I would have made you pay for all the iced tea she ruined." Ooh. I find that just like, wow. You must be so bored in life if like you're...
I'm gonna go down to that restaurant and give them a piece of my mind.
Like, shut up. Do you have literally no other problems? Like, get the fuck out of here. And she would have. My boss is a short, middle-aged black lady from the South. She knows how to insult people and make it sound like a compliment. Don't worry, she doesn't use this power for evil. Ooh. Does she say the word sweetheart? Not to mention, we just made that tea, so the container was near full. Container holds about 5 gallons. Boss said lady got wide-eyed and backpedaled hard on her stance, told her to thank me on my next shift, and left the store. Then called me since she thought the whole thing was ridiculous. And now looking back on it, I kind of agree. I'm just gonna enjoy the rest of my day off, maybe stop by the store and buy my boss something nice. Yeah, good on your boss for having your back. I love that there's like just cameras in stores now because like there was a time where a scorned woman, how dare you insult her parenting, would be able to go into a store and get you fired over a lie. All because she felt probably like she should have been doing a better job as a mom. It really didn't have to be that serious. That's why it's so silly. It really is so silly. You could have just taken the L, mommy, but you didn't. So you are not the a-hole. Subscribe! My coworker stole my position, and now I get to watch her struggle. I'm a teacher at a decently affluent public school. For the most part, I love my job. I've made genuine friends among the staff members, and the students make the hard work worth it. There are, of course, the negative parts of teaching you always hear about. Low pay, grading on off hours, etc. But for the most part, the deal has been good. A few years back, I was recognized by my old boss as a potential leader in the building. He stressed to me that I was very data-oriented and likable among my colleagues. I know my way around Google Sheets and Excel when it comes to collecting and organizing student data, and I'm really solid with parent communication. I was hesitant, but eventually I agreed to become a leader for a group of teachers and students at the school, in charge of organizing meetings, overall student education success, etc. That old boss who promoted me left, and I was stuck with a new boss who I didn't know well. I feel like this is like honestly such a common thing for a boss that really liked you and saw how great you were to leave, and then a new boss comes in and like shakes things up. I feel like all new bosses, like when you get hired into positions, need to like get the lay of the land. Then again, they could be hired to like cut spending, and then people are paid too much, or that's how they think. So then they just make your life hell until you quit so they can hire someone cheaper. Yeah, it never fails, honestly. Here's where things get messy. I have a sensory processing disorder and mild hearing loss. It's hard to explain, but sometimes I genuinely do not hear things correctly. Think if you said, I'm gonna pick up Stacy, I might hear something like, I'm just gonna wait and see. This happens at least once a day and usually isn't that big of a deal, but unfortunately it isn't curable, and I managed. In meetings with my new boss would push strategies that were based around focusing on students whose test scores were almost passing. The idea was that you would focus on all students but give extra attention to those guys. These initiatives were never written down, and I would find out later that was because the legality of such a thing is iffy at best. Oh, tea. When these ideas were shared with me, I would constantly ask the boss after the meeting to repeat herself, then check my notes to make sure I heard her correctly. I noticed at the time that she was passively frustrated that I would do this, even though I explained I had a hearing disorder. Looking back, I wonder if she felt pressured knowing what we were doing wasn't kosher and if I made a bad impression. Yeah, I mean, she could have gotten uncomfortable with the fact that you needed to write things down, and also by writing things down, have a record.
Thus leaving crucial evidence.
Now to introduce the main character of the story, who I'll call Tenny, since she's the coach of the tennis team. Tenny is well liked by staff members for her years of service toward our community in a particular area. I also liked Tenny a lot, and I figured she'd be a great team member. Tenny, however, like my boss, became repeatedly frustrated when I would miss things she would say to me, especially in crowded high school hallways. Sometimes she would even shout something to me as she walked past me. This led to many gaffes and mistakes. I asked her repeatedly to pause and make sure I got what she was saying, or just to email me. Nothing changed. There were at least 5 or 6 big moments that my hearing wasn't accommodated for when a simple email could have solved the problem. Just as one example, my new boss came into the hallway to let me know that an assembly location was being changed. We were to take the students to a new area, not the old one. Of course, I heard a change, but didn't hear the location. Tenny was the only one nearby. I tapped my ear, which I usually do to indicate I didn't hear something, and asked where we were going. Tenny quickly responded and walked away. I once again didn't understand. Cue me and my students walking into the assembly 5 minutes late after walking them around the building in confusion. My new boss asked what happened, and I told her simply I didn't hear her correctly. Weeks later, I was called into a meeting with my new boss, and she told me I was going to lose my leader position due to inconsistency and disrespect toward colleagues. I wouldn't call that disrespect. I would call the reason discrimination. I asked her which colleagues, and she told me that was private. I asked her how I was disrespectful, and she said sometimes you get frustrated when you say you can't hear things and tap your ear. How is that disrespectful?
I don't know.
I said that was the ASL sign for hear, as in I can't hear you. She said I should have communicated that. You're communicating that you can't hear. I said I've asked for written communication constantly. She said I shouldn't always expect it. Why? Because that would mean that you have to put everything in writing. I knew it was a losing game and any explanation I would provide would just be shot down. I loved the school and the community, and fighting the new boss was only going to lead to more problems. I shouldn't have been surprised when a school-wide email went out that Tenny was going to get the leader position. Tenny was praised by colleagues in reply alls, and it was frustrating to say the least. I know she was the one who complained, and it was extremely bitter for me to see her rewarded for it. Oh my goodness. They probably kikied about the fact that you have a disability. They're the only ones that agree with each other. Cue the next school year. Tenny comes into my room and asks me for student data sheets that I created with Google Sheets. I told her truthfully that even if I did share them with her, there wasn't anything she could do with them. I brought her over to my computer and showed her the formulas I worked with and how I needed to adjust them every time a new student, section, etc. was added to the roster. She then asked me if I could just continue updating these sheets outside of my leader position. I told her as professionally as possible that I would love to teach her how to do all the things, but I would need a stipend to do so. Oh, interesting that she's asking you to share her work with her. She asked if any of the other leaders were doing what I did. I said they weren't. I was the only one and always had been. I'm a bit ashamed to say I didn't take joy in seeing Tenny's face go cold when she realized I wasn't gonna fold and there was nothing she could do except cope with the hours of data work per year or become proficient in Sheets and Excel, something I knew she wasn't going to do. And here's the real kicker: the parents. Parents of students 99% of the time are a joy to work with. I really mean that. It's so fun to work with the parents of the people I care the most about, but it's the 1% that make your life a living hell. I've overheard Tenny complaining about being on the phone with a 1% parent for 45 minutes, losing her entire grading time. A call like that would have taken me about 5 minutes tops, since I have the experience of knowing how to stop circular arguments and get the parent on my side for an issue. What has taken me minutes is taking Tenny sometimes hours. Yes, she's getting my $1,500 stipend, but I no longer have to deal with extra meetings, extra parent phone calls, miscommunication, etc. She's getting all the pain I got and more. I feel ashamed that I'm taking so much joy for this, but Tenny made my life hell in a place I otherwise loved. Have fun, Tenny. I honestly fail to understand why you didn't fight back here. I understand that, it's all nice and good that you don't have to do more work and deal with the shitty parts of your job as much, but you lost your position due to discrimination. I firmly believe that. Just because they didn't say that's why you lost it doesn't mean that that's why you lost it, I feel like this new boss is already shady because she got uncomfortable with you taking notes. She probably can't cut corners anymore because you need to have literally everything in writing. That's the real reason why she doesn't want to put it in writing. It's not an inconvenience. Most people follow up important conversations, and I've told you to do this before, with writing, with emails, with text, anything in writing. Asking to do it out of necessity because you need to hear is not an inconvenience. I love it. Now find a less ableist school to work at. I was thinking the same thing. By law, your boss should provide accommodations for your hearing impairment. Emails instead of shouting directions across the hallway is a simple accommodation. In fact, I feel like that people not accommodating you is disrespectful toward you, not the other way around, which he failed to provide. Have you considered consulting with an employment attorney? Some people are saying, okay, you're saying this is ableist, but this is just good old fashioned. I don't want a paper trail, and I want to work with someone who will play ball with me from the boss. Could be. It's difficult to know what it's actually about, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the real reason. We got some more spicy work stories for you. I ain't done yet. Boss fires me illegally, ends up paying for it. Smell that? I smell Betty Revenge. Hi everyone. Here's how my ex-boss and his brilliant management team tried to exploit me and ended up handing me the perfect revenge on a silver platter. Petty? Quite a lot. In my country, this is rarely done. A few years ago, I, female 35, worked as an SEO copywriter and SSM for a well-known Italian company. I spoke and reported directly to Big Boss, General Manager, and Mini Boss. When they hired me, they forced me to open a VAT number and work as a freelancer. In reality, I worked exclusively exclusively for them. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, just like a full-time employee. This is not exactly fair. I told them, they said, not to worry, you'll find more connections through us. Never happened. For those that don't know, VAT is like European tax. I did my job impeccably, always on time, never missed a deadline, and received plenty of praise from management and customers via emails and messages. The twist: the mini boss's girlfriend and the big boss's mistress, yes, both on payroll, were hopeless at their jobs. They made mistakes, dumped their work on others, and only survived thanks to their connections. I didn't hide my opinion, especially when their mistakes meant more work for everyone else. After 7 months, out of nowhere, the mini boss tells me in person, no written notice, which is illegal, your services are no longer required. I asked to speak with Big Boss too, request denied. I smiled and said, this isn't over. He looked nervous and asked, are you threatening the company? I replied, threats are for people who aren't sure they'll win. I'm making a promise. It's just a matter of time. I love that. It's not a threat, it's a fact. With my lawyer, I started legal action for wrongful termination and labor law violations. Here's where it gets delicious. The big boss, in his infinite wisdom, replied to my lawyer's official communication with a long, angry email full of insults and personal attacks. Ooh, in writing? Ooh, no.
Not a great plan.
Thank you for the extra evidence, I guess. That's stupid. You stupid. After a year, because Italian bureaucracy is slow as hell, they do love the dolce far niente in Italy. The art of doing nothing.
Per cortesia, me lo ripeti ancora.
Dolce far niente.
Un'altra volta, ma adesso vorrei proprio sentire la musica delle parole.
I delivered a 200-page dossier of evidence, chats, emails, communications, invoices, photos, everything. Less than a week after my lawyer filed it, in the middle of Christmas holidays, their own lawyer contacted me, practically begging me to name a settlement amount so they could avoid going to trial. With my lawyer, I asked for a 5-figure sum. They accepted without a single complaint. On the day of the settlement hearing, the judge actually congratulated me and my lawyer for how thoroughly we documented everything. You see? Keep the receipts. Put them in a nice little folder. Print them if you have to.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
She then turned to my ex-boss and gave him a stern warning about his appalling conduct, adding, we're honestly tired of seeing your name in court. Ooh, clock it. That is crazy. The fact that he'd been there before, oh my God. And he didn't learn? My goodness. But he's been to court before and he's still sending threatening and angry emails. Could never be me. 2 co-workers, 25 female and 35 male, are having an affair. How can I inform the wife? Well, there's a few options. You could do phone call, you could do in person, you could do text, email, voice note, carrier pigeon, letter on the front step. Plenty of ways. I, 25 female, work as a receptionist. 4 months ago, I made the stupid decision to recommend my now former best friend Jane for an open position after someone had left. It's a prestigious hotel, so they're very secretive about the hiring process. Jane had little to no experience, so I took a risk by vouching for her. Looking back, it was dumb, but I knew she was a hard worker and I couldn't have guessed what was to come. I trained her during her first month and she picked things up quickly. After that, we began working separate shifts. It was around this time that I started noticing a weird dynamic between her, 35 plus male, our chief receptionist. One night, when I arrived for my shift, I found them acting all giggly and their body language just seemed off. They didn't notice me at first, but when they did, they tried a little too much to act cool, which raised some red flags. There have been too many similar situations over the months, but I tried to deny it. John just had a baby, and his wife comes in at least 4 to 5 times per week, sometimes with the baby too. Jane sees this as well, ooh, and I just couldn't think she would do something like that.
That's gonna be a yikes for me, dog.
But the awkward tension, quick glances, and giggles just wouldn't quit. So I brought it up 2 weeks ago when we were out for drinks. I was floored by her response. She confessed in a playful manner, almost like sharing a dirty secret. She said they couldn't keep their hands off each other and that she had wanted to spill the tea, but didn't want to involve me in the drama. I wouldn't necessarily call this spilling the tea. I would say this is more of like you're confessing something really bad. vent. This isn't tea. This is people's lives, okay? When I brought up his wife and their newborn child, she said she didn't care. Apparently, John told her they'd been sleeping in separate beds and his wife stopped caring about the marriage after the pregnancy and other BS like that. Same old story. I was disgusted and we had a major fight. She stormed off and cut off all contact with me. Since then, going to work has been hell. John is in charge of our shifts, and ever since our fight, he's been giving me the worst shifts and making sure we're not scheduled together. Bold move for somebody who's literally about to lose his job and his family. I've considered telling the wife since day one, but I don't have any proof. Same with our manager and HR. I texted Jane saying, tell your boyfriend to stop giving me the worst shifts, hoping for a response that could serve as evidence, but she didn't reply. I'm a little disappointed that you didn't tell the wife and not just when it was like, okay, I have really shitty shifts. 1 week ago, someone got sick and I had to work with the two evil fricks. Close to our lunch break, John's wife came in to bring him lunch. She looked tired as hell and my heart broke for her. Then I noticed something on John's wrist. He had Jane's scrunchie on his wrist. He also has long hair, but I know for a fact it's hers. He held and kissed the baby with the fucking scrunchie on his wrist. Oh, he gotta go. I legitimately thought I was going to throw up. I had a panic attack, I think, at the smoking area. I was crying and couldn't breathe. I come from a divorced family because of my father's infidelity, so this hits too close to home. I'm losing sleep. Please tell me what I should do in this situation. Should I send the wife an anonymous message? I only have her Instagram. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I do think that you should tell the wife. In any situation like this, like not only is this affecting your work life, but it's also really messed up. And like, yeah, you could run the risk of her not believing you or something, but I genuinely think it would be a good idea for you to set some alarm bells off. Like even if she doesn't believe you initially, that seed will be planted. She will start to be a little more careful and maybe she might start to see signs on her own if she hasn't already. So some people are saying you need to tell the manager above John. Yeah, that would help. That would help. But I think it's not just a matter of like you have a shitty time at work because of these people. It's also like a matter of values and like guilt, you know, wanting to be a bigger person. And like, maybe you don't want any blowback on you. Let's be honest, you know about them and probably everybody knows about them. So I feel like that's unavoidable. But I genuinely think that you need to step up here. I don't know about telling the wife, but I'd be tempted to tell John, not your friend, that he had better stop giving you the worst shifts just because his girlfriend thinks it's fun to sleep with a married man. And the nerve of him saying his wife doesn't care about the marriage since the baby. She's probably just trying not to lose it with not getting sleep and dealing with a newborn. Man babies are the worst. I hate this excuse.
You don't want to sleep with me right now.
Shut up. Wham, wham, wham. Shut up. She doesn't care about the marriage, but shows up multiple times a week to visit her husband and bring him lunch. That is a very, very good point. Doesn't really seem like she doesn't care about the marriage. This is just something that he's telling your friend, ex-friend, hopefully, to get her to think that he's gonna leave his wife. The fact that she can even sit there and hear him say one thing, but then see complete evidence of the opposite is just, she's delulu. If you don't care about a marriage, you don't show up literally every day to see your husband and bring him lunch. So people are saying tell the wife because she deserves better than a crap husband who cheats on her while she's caring for a newborn. F him. And then people are saying ordinarily I'd agree with you, but nah, tell management through a letter from an outside attorney. Then let John explain to his wife that he got fired to spare the company from a lawsuit after he engaged in workplace retaliation to cover up his affair. He sounds like a type of person that like wouldn't admit to it though. Like I don't know if I would trust him with that information. Like he'll find some other excuse. He's lying about the reason why he wants to have an affair. He's lying about how good his wife is to him so that he can have his cake and eat it too. I wouldn't trust this guy as far as I can throw him. I think based on how I feel about this and also how other people feel about this, I think you should tell the wife. And then other people are also saying like, stop working here. Your work life sucks. You don't want to have to see your friend anymore. I would want to get really far away from this mess. Do your due diligence as an honorable member of society and get the fuck out of there. We got one more that's worth noting. And this is from the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit, which I literally just checked and we are number 5 in creators and influencers on Reddit. That is wild. We have almost 200,000 members. Honestly, you guys are amazing. I cannot believe that. This was just like a random cool idea that I had that's like, you know what? Let's create a community where I can not only create content from, but you guys also help each other and you share your stories and you get the support that you need with your problems. Even if I don't read it in a video, I'm happy that you guys have a place to do that. After 7 years, I quit by handing in my resignation mid-ambush. My boss boss and her cronies cried over samosas. Hey everyone, longtime lurker, first time poster, welcome. Thank you for sharing. I need to vent about my previous workplace. This all went down about 2 to 3 years ago, but I still think about how insane it was. I, 27 female at the time, had worked for this IT food growing company for 8 years, moving up from sales to a role in creditors. Then a restructuring brought in Camilla, not her real name, who reported to the director of finance. She hired 2 managers, Sally and Callie, and together they formed the toxic trio. First red flag, Camilla had these intense, crazy eyes, like from How I Met Your Mother. She proved me right by systematically targeting people to make their lives so unbearable they'd quit. Here are just a few highlights of the chaos. The daily greeting ritual. We worked in a huge open plan office. Most of us would get in, grab a coffee, say a quick good morning, put our headphones in, and get to work. Camilla, however, was always late, but expected a royal greeting. If you didn't stop what you were doing the second she arrived to acknowledge her, you'd get pulled into a meeting about respect. She literally reprimanded you by not greeting her and stopping what you were doing. That's cray cray. One could argue that you can't just stop what you're doing. You're literally on company time here right now. Chaos 1, the samosa incident. On lunch break, I bought a bunch of samosas on a special and gave them to a few random coworkers near me. Just a nice gesture. Camilla and Callie called me into a meeting for a verbal warning. They said I was excluding them and that their feelings were hurt. They started crying because they didn't get a samosa. I was sitting there stunned thinking, are 2 grown women actually crying over fried dough and potatoes? Sounds like they are. Chaos 2, the grilled cheese betrayal. I used to make secret grilled cheese sandwiches for our finance group. Camilla knew and even asked for some. But after another one of her episodes, I'd had enough. I took my snacks and kitchen utensils home, leaving only my stationery. 10 minutes after I left for the day, she was running around the office telling people I wasn't coming back. I know this because I was locked out of my laptop the next morning until IT fixed it. Chaos 3, the disrespectful ambush. Camilla came in one day clearly upset about something. I made the mistake of asking if I could help. She lost her crap on me, calling me disrespectful in front of the entire office. I calmly replied, you should treat others with the respect you want to be treated with first. She immediately stormed off to HR. Speaking of HR, Camilla became best friends with them, along with other department managers. Any complaint about her was blocked, and anyone who tried would be bullied by Camilla, Sally, and Callie until they quit. Cammy, Sally, and Callie. Oh my goodness, kill me now. Their favorite trick, scheduling pointless hour-long meetings during month end when every second counts. If we missed deadlines because of these meetings, we would get written up. They'd stack these write-ups and within 2 months have enough to call a disciplinary hearing to fire someone. Sounds like these people are literally a liability. They're literally costing the company money with their antics. I was so overworked and stressed that if I made one tiny mistake, like forgetting to process one single invoice, it would trigger multiple improvement meetings. Meanwhile, people kept quitting and I was expected to handle my workload plus everyone else's without any compensation. Oh, hell no. See, this is the thing with people like micromanagers, like a toxic workplace. I worked in a toxic workplace where, everybody just kind of kept their head down and people started to care less and stuff like that because literally anything you do would be documented and reprimanded. You wouldn't even know that what you did wasn't okay and you would get called into a meeting where you're being told that, you're breaking some company rule or whatever, or everybody's just kikiing with each other, talking shit about each other, scaring the crap out of you. And I can tell you firsthand that if there's anything that's an enemy to productivity, it's sitting at your desk overthinking about being in trouble. I had wasted so many hours sitting there, pissed off, gathering receipts and evidence on the clock, by the way. I could have been working so hard at that time, but all I could do was think about how angry and upset I was. It doesn't help. All you're doing is making people resentful. So this was the final straw. One night, I got a WhatsApp message. There's a meeting tomorrow very early. You should be there. I knew it was an ambush. They were building a case to fire me. I immediately started looking for new jobs and typed out my resignation letter. I walked into that meeting and they slid a piece of paper across the table. A notice for a disciplinary hearing in 2 days. I reversed that shit so fast. I smiled, slid my resignation letter right back at them and said, I quit, effective immediately. I took the disciplinary hearing notice with me. I was crying tears of relief and anger as I walked out. Everyone could see something had happened and I didn't hold back. I showed my close colleagues the disciplinary paper and said I'm quitting because of them. Within 30 minutes, I was escorted from the building. They paid my 30-day notice period, but I was banned from returning. They watched me get into my Uber and drive away before they went back inside. With toxic workplaces, it just blows my mind how they don't realize that you could get another job. Like, if I'm so terrible at my job, then why don't you figure out a way of replacing me? And right now, by the way. This is just classic. They were mean girls in high school and now they're mean girls at work. They enjoy the power. They fail to recognize that most jobs are temporary. And in my experience, it's gonna blow up in their face because the person who's higher up is gonna be like, why is everyone quitting? Literally, why can't you guys keep someone in a position? You're hiring people who are not qualified because there's no one left. These people are affecting the way that the office works and work is bad and stuff's not working out. Like, what is going on here? It almost always blows up in their face, or the company literally goes bankrupt. Either way, good for you for getting out of that toxic workplace, my dear. It's never worth it. There's always another job, one that you'll actually enjoy going to. Subscribe!